build a dog out of sticks and twine. I can call you master, you can call me mine. Wrap me in plastic and make me shine. We can make a dollhouse, follow your design. You can call me mine. Let's build a dog out of sticks and twine. I can call you master, you can call me mine. Wrap me in plastic and make me shine. We can make a dollhouse, follow your design. You can call me mine. build a dog out of sticks and twine. I can call you master, you can call me mine. Wrap me in plastic and make me shine. We can make a dog
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the AOC Masters Valorant Tournament. $11,000 on the line for these teams competing out throughout the tournament. We're going to be covering most of the matches. My name is Mitch. With me is Tom, and Tom, I'm excited. I'm excited to start the groups today. It's going to be fun to see and check back in with the Asian region because it's been a little while since we were floating around here.
Yeah, for sure. Like, we've seen a few different team changes. We got to see some of the teams that we sort of enjoyed last time actually get picked up by organizations, which is pretty nice. Like the Thailand attitude has become Myth attitude, so they've kept the attitude, but they've actually joined an organization along the way, which is pretty cool. They give them some backing, hopefully mean they've had more time to practice, because it's always some of the things with smaller regions within Valorant, or within any game really, is that if you don't have the backing of an organization, a lot of the time you're working other jobs, you're doing other things. So it's cool to see some of those teams get picked up. We've also had some roster changes here and there, with even only one word changing a player or two. It seems like Super Domineering have changed some players, and unfortunately their names haven't been translated, so that's going to be fairly interesting for the cast. It did get some clarification potentially of what we could call them, but then again, Google Translate gave us much funnier responses, so I don't know, maybe we'll have to stick with some of those. But yeah, we've still got the teams that were sort of the heavy hitters going forward, like AHQ proven themselves quite a lot recently, even taking a win over T1 in Korea, so they're proving that they can even go up against the Koreans, who have been some teams that we've been excited to see face off against Europeans and North America. So maybe AHQ can put themselves on the list. I believe the last time we did check in, they were the champions as well, taking down a tackle round. So we'll see if they can reclaim their crown once again.
Yeah, they're definitely teams that you don't want to be messing with in this tournament. AHQ, ones that stand out, attack all round, I loved watching. But as we talk about this tournament, it is time to take a look at how this tournament is going to be unfolding, or how it has unfolded up to this point as well. The national qualifiers took place, in which you saw all these teams make it through. 4 from Thailand, 2 from every other region. Then we go on to the regional group phase. That's where we are right now. It's a round robin tournament format. 4 groups, all of which will be facing off against each other internally. And then the top 2 will go on through to play in the regional finals. That is the top 8 teams overall, 2 from each group, as I said, that will be competing for some big time money, some big prizes, Tom. And I think, realistically, there is a lot on the line for these teams. You compare it to some of the previous tournaments, it's not just cash that they can win. I think you're going to have a lot of drive and also a lot of time between when we last saw them and now for them to have developed their strategy. So I'm looking to see a much higher level of Valorant versus what we saw last time, which is kind of scary when you look at some of those top teams.
Yeah, I think that when we watched them last time, a lot of the things we were seeing were executions based off of Sage walls. And although that was something that we saw within Europe as well, it became like, if we destroy the Sage wall, that's the round over. And that's something I didn't particularly enjoy seeing. So we'll see how this goes. Of course, we do have our prize pool, the champion, not only taking home $5,000, but the AOC gaming monitors, which go actually for the top 4 places as well, which is pretty cool. Obviously, upgrading your gear. I know that if James was here, he'd be talking about the good old days where all you would get would be these sort of like peripherals to basically up your setup, but now it comes with some cash as well. So I think the players will be fairly happy if they can get to that point, because of course we do have a relatively long road. We're looking at 16 teams looking to fight their way all the way through and finishing off in mid-December. So it's gonna take a while. If you are thinking about sticking around for the whole journey, make sure to drop a follow on the channel as well, because we are going to be back not only tomorrow, but over next week, and then over, as said, in mid-December as well.
Yeah, so these guys, look, we're making them work for it, but there's actually not that many days of gameplay. It's all down to gaps in between the tournament, which is actually quite good, because it means you've got a lot of time to really spread out your strats, think about what you're doing, go back through your VODs. I was going to say demos, but we're not quite there yet, unfortunately. Taking a look at the team list that we've got, you can see the groups and how they're broken down. Now, there's going to be some names here that really stand out to you. Obviously, we've seen Super Domineering and only one word before over in Group A. You've got AHQ and Bren, a newcomer to the scene in terms of the organization. I'm excited to see them floating around. Team SMG and Myth Attitude over in Group C, and then Attack All Round. I mean, they're the favorites for me from the start. AHQ in the tackle round, I expect to see butting heads. And I'm not sure how the playoffs are organized exactly, but I really hope that they will end up, presuming they top their groups, on opposite sides of the bracket, because I don't want to see them facing in a semi-final. I think that could be a little bit of a bit of a throwaway, because they have been the strongest teams within this region so far, but that's not to say that some of these other teams won't have stepped up their game since we last saw them.
Well, yeah, that's always the thing with being one of the top teams, even at just a single tournament. The second that happens, all eyes are on you. So I'm sure there's going to be plenty of teams that have been working hard to try and get themselves forward. And we've got obviously a lot of the teams that when we were last here for the Cyber Games Pacific Open, we also saw a lot of these teams again. As said, only one word. They were another team to make it all the way through into the playoffs, finishing in third place. Team SMG as well, a team that I particularly enjoyed because of 𝗓𝗍𝒑 and his operator skills. Obviously, it's been such a long time. The operator has actually changed quite a bit, and we see different players now switching up the way they actually utilize it. And also a lot of agents getting buffed, nerfed, even some new ones being added in. Now, I believe for this tournament, I think Skye is not available. So that's going to be something we will yet to see, which I don't know. It's a bit of a shame. I'm looking forward to seeing that agent eventually put into competitive play, but obviously the way that this tournament has been run, all the qualifiers were done without the agent. To add it in randomly going into the main stage would be a little bit of an odd one, but it is still going to be like with the Killjoy now thrown in, which was something that we didn't really see last time. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, it would definitely be a bit odd to have that agent all of a sudden. Now, let's take a look at today's matches. We have got a bunch of games coming your way, 6 in total, all best of ones. And you'll see that it's Group A, obviously. Just Group A today, Group B tomorrow, and then going into next week, it will be obviously the other two. Now, Overtime versus Super Domineering is where we're going to start things off. Now, as I said, we've seen Super Domineering in the past. Overtime, for me, they're a bit of a newcomer, although I have seen some of these players in the past as well. So certainly some potential there, but we don't know exactly how they'll shape up. Then obviously we've got Only One Word and TMT, the other two teams within this group. And again, Only One Word, they made a big impression on me, especially Darkus. He was a player that I really enjoyed watching, but they didn't manage to make it the whole way, right? They weren't a top contender. So now the question is, have they managed to tweak their game enough that coming into this tournament, they'll be able to take themselves all the way through? Because only 2 teams can get out of this group. And to be honest, I think this is one of the more open ones for discussion, because although Super Domineering we've seen, they weren't a top contender either. So TMT and Overtime have got a good chance of making it through.
Well, yeah, and you mentioned like what they've done since. Well, they have changed a player. We've seen Attention come into the roster as well. So, again, it's going to be whether or not that's a good change, a negative change, if it's going to be one that actually benefits the squad. I do keep looking at TMT and thinking they're so close to being the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. They just need one N in there, and we've got it sorted. So maybe that'll be a change they can make to their branding just to make me a little bit happier, and I could start making comparisons there. But yeah, I definitely agree. I think in terms of the groups, although I'm still gonna sit there and put Only One Word as like my favorite for the group because of what we saw previously. It's been a long time. It's been a change. I think in the other groups, like if you look at Group C, for example, I'm Team SMG and Myth, I think, are probably going to be the ones I'm looking at. You go towards Group D, I think Tackle Around are a clear favorite. And again, in Group B, you've got AHQ. So I think this is the one where, sure, we've seen one of the teams get relatively far in previous tournaments, but realistically, they didn't win. They didn't even come in the top 2. And the game that they played, even for 3rd and 4th, was very, very close. So a lot of opportunities, a lot of chances, obviously, for some of the newer teams who've come through the qualifiers to show us what they've got. And I think that's always the thing I'm excited for, be it in any game going into sort of Southeast Asia, is there's not the same support as some of the other sort of areas of the world. So realistically, this is where we can see some talent that may not necessarily stay in a team altogether in the future, but may end up joining up with some other players across all the different regions. So even if there's just a shining star in here, that could be enough. And it looks like, Mitch, we're going to be going towards our first match. It's the team lineup of Overtime facing off against Super Domineering. And I'm glad that we are seeing the names not in Chinese anymore. So it's actually going to be 𝗏𝗏 and 𝗏𝗏. Very easy name to say. Might just call him 𝗏𝗏. We've had another player called 𝗏𝗏 Overdose in Counter-Strike, so I'm sure we'll enjoy that one.
Yeah, I gotta say that, Tom, I was a little bit worried when I saw this graphic pop up. I thought Overtime were running a 10-man roster, and I mean, we saw that last time, right? There was, I think it was SMG that had like 7 or 8 players listed, and they were rotating them in. And that's something that's being discussed, and I think it's even more viable within Valorant than it is within Counter-Strike, having a 6, 7, 8-man roster where you've actually got players that are specifically on your lineup for bind, for split, for whatever it might be. Maybe you've got someone who's a Viper specialist, and you're going to put them in on the likes of Haven bind. Like, there's definitely a lot to discuss there and to unpack in terms of what agents, because at the moment, you know, players can play 1 or 2 agents, but maybe you want ones that are specifically good at those ones, or change up your tendencies. There's a whole lot of arguments there for it, and some teams within Asia have been the first to do it from what I've seen. Now, looking at these lineups, again, there's going to be some names that you recognize. Obviously, we've seen Juju's before, we've seen Pinocchio's as well, and then over towards the super domineering, 𝗏𝗏𝗏. Did he play Counter-Strike? I feel like we cast 𝗏𝗏𝗏 very recently, and not within the thing, but he's not on HLTV, so maybe it was just the previous tournament that's jogging my memory. As we look in towards the random map picked, of course, it is best of ones, so there is not a ban veto system because Icebox isn't in the pool. We're just looking at bind coming up between these two teams.
Yeah, this was something we had in the previous tournament as well, and there was some rosters where we were like, oh, they're always playing bind, because we didn't know it initially, and then it just turned out to be completely random. So it can give a much more likely underdog story, because we have that in best of ones anyway, and then you have the other option that you could realistically get one of the favorites getting their absolute worst map. So I will say that when we're looking at group stages, some people might be going, this team's the best team in the whole tournament. And then it turns out they've just been playing their best map for the entire time. And once vetoes come in, it becomes a little bit more interesting. So I'm looking forward to seeing what these teams have got on bind. I think it's a map particular where you're still going to need to do quite well when it comes to your like sentinels. You need somebody to basically lock down one of the sites, and I'm hoping we're going to get into what will be our picks relatively soon. And we're going straight in. We're not even wasting any time at all. And we've got to bear in mind. So we've got 𝗏𝗏 and 𝗏𝗏. Those are the two names we've got to try and remember, Mitch. We're not going to have those in the game.
That is true. They have changed the names over into Mandarin, which is, not helpful for us anyways, because believe it or not, and I know
the
most
short
people
one
won't
is
believe
𝗏𝗏. The longer one
Indeed.
is 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏. So there we go.
Believe it or not, for the folks at home, myself and Tom don't speak Mandarin. I know that might be.
My girlfriend is learning, but I don't think she'll be getting there that quick.
Call her in, see if she can.
I do call her in.
Hey,
no one gets that joke other than you.
People at home. So yeah, we're taking a look at the picks. Obviously, that's a really cool new system. Now, obviously, we'd already had the attack inside. Boom, just locked them in straight away. So that kind of it took away. I was the defense actually, but we didn't get to discuss around it too much. You've got breaches on both teams, which is something that we've seen kind of eased out a little bit within some of the European games. So I'm happy to see him in. Omens, well, you know what? It's not surprising that one of the teams picked an Omen, because in fact, they actually got a little bit of a punishment. Overtime changed their names after they'd already submitted their lineup. So they were banned from picking Brimstone, which actually could have had some impact, because this is one of the maps where Brimstone is actually, I would argue, the most viable.
Yeah, I'll be honest though. Like, it seems like if I was going to choose an agent to ban, I don't think it would be Brimstone. Like, in fact, Brimstone one of the last, because if you look at overall pick rates, he's fairly far down at this point. Like, Omen has become a relatively dominant force. Like, even players like Angel, who was a Brimstone king, has just decided, nah, I'm going to move away from it. I'm going to play something else now. Well, even going to a Viper at times. So it's going to be interesting. A fairly aggressive-looking stance, though, coming out of the defensive side, as we're going to see a push coming in from Jett with some support from the Sova.
Okay, so when you're looking towards super domineering, obviously starting defensive side, they're going to want to clock up a couple of rounds here, right? Not allow Overtime too much space. Overtime are the team coming in as a looser squad. They haven't got that massive backing. Oh, Oh, I'm hearing the drone come in. Is it going to check the left? It does. That could have been huge, but instead he's just got to bail away. Luckily, the smoke is there. So B is straight on out of there to the A site, and they're just going to hold down and play this one nice and slow on the defense. There's not really a lot they can do, though, at this point. They've lost control of bathrooms, and so they're going to go back in for it together, but not finding anything. This is where the spidey senses start to tingle, and you realize it might be a B hit.
Yeah, it seems like in the early stages, at least, Overtime have tried to sort of bait out a rotation, like hold them in towards this A site. The problem is, in the meantime, Super Domineering have got aggressive. The only thing that will happen here is the timing. I don't think their flank's going to be here quick enough, and it's going to come down to Amen Holla to try and slow them down as much as possible. The fort line goes out, and it will at least be Float to pick off one. However, in the meantime, the spike is going to make its way into the site, and even though they haven't really cleared too much, they are going to get the spike down without much contention at all.
It was in. Oh, okay. B's picked up one on the lava. Here's some opportunity. Super Domineering right back on into this one.
Ooh.
Zeus, though, he already picked up 4, looking for the full ace, but he can't get it done. Mao, in the end, takes him down. I mean, look, that was, what, a 4 versus 1? And he manages to bring it all the way down to a 1v1? That's pretty impressive, but in the end, the Sova on the defense reigned supreme, and they managed to get the defuse in. 1-0. Starting at the pistol round, we're already getting a very competitive game.
I do love it, though. Like, I don't know if this is to say that Google Translate is bad, but what we currently have is, like, PPDBJ. It actually translates on Google to 𝗠𝘀𝘁𝗖 Pig, which I don't know how that's happened. I don't know if I'm looking at Google going, really? But it would be great if there was just a trolly guy working at Google who just decided to put a few like random things just to make him giggle. That's probably why I'm not allowed to work at Google.
Well, Float, what is allegedly Float, or maybe he has changed his name to it, is Ning Rong Rong. So that's not the same.
No.
Google's interesting sometimes. Look, for I like the setup that they're rocking with over towards the B site. The utility that's in play for Killjoy, you've got obviously the really well placed nano swarms, one up close that they can't destroy. So once they jump out, that's activated, and there's one slightly deeper which then funnels them into the right side. I'd actually prefer that to be a little bit more towards long, so it funnels them towards CT for the crossfire. And that's a great dash out by Juju's, but he's not able to get the kill. In the end, the shock dart trades it, and they will manage to gain the side and another spike plant. But that wasn't the issue last time. The post plants where they've kind of struggled in the pistol round.
Seems like they have at least invested a bit of their cash into this round. Of course, losing the pistol normally means that you either have to fully force with some pistols or just try and get what you can done waiting for the rifle round. Bia coming under a little bit of pressure here, but realistically his teammates are going to have an advantageous position as long as they just keep fighting together on towards the site. A trade comes out from Scary though, a couple of kills, and it's left a 1-1. The Cypher back towards Hookah, trying to find something straight through the smoke, but the defusel's just coming in. Amen Holla just going to stick it and pray to God he doesn't get shot. And realistically, they get away with it. Still, another spike plant for the attacking side, but the defense will convert a second.
Yep, you know, spike plants are great and all. You're getting a little bit of extra damage in by killing those players, but at the end of the day, you got to be winning the rounds, and this is where their opportunity to do that really comes into play. You're up against what is going to be a pretty scrappy buy on Super Domineering after them surviving with 2 and 1 player, reinvesting into armor consistently. And they've obviously, over on the attacking side, got every weapon that they want. Now, I'm interested to see, you know, the preference within the region for the Vandal versus Phantom. Right now, it's certainly leaning towards the Phantom from what we've seen. They're 3 picked up by Overtime. And their intention early on is to move towards that B side. Now, they're going to have to figure out how to deal with this Killjoy. And so far, it's just been that Jet dashing out to site. But that's when they've got a weak buy. That's when they've got pistols, Tom. Are they going to do that with a full buy? Are you going to get a Phantom and dash out onto site? I don't think so, especially not when you know that your opponents have got those weaker weapons for range.
Yeah, it'd be a pretty big risk. Like, you might see it with a Blade Storm in a round where you don't really have much invested at all, but other than that, chances are you're not going to see these hyper-aggressive plays. They are going to go straight back towards the B side, though, so you never know. Maybe Juju's going to prove us wrong. Lava already looking for the peak, but left completely blind. I am liking the way that they're using this breach, just slowing down every attempt at a push. In fact, the fault line is going to catch 2 players, but nobody capitalizes off it. I am liking the sneak through from Float, though. Left in the corner, a free kill onto one, looks for a second, but the peak's not quite enough. And with still this weaker weaponry, even a cheeky smoke to try and catch them as they cross, this is going to be a really rough retake. Not a bad start for PP, though. He's already managed to find a pick back in. Damage in this round really wouldn't be bad, but you have to remember they took quite a lot of cost themselves. However, they're starting to make this work. It's left all onto one man. The Sova left towards the back. Gonna try and use the Hunter's Fury, but the diffuser's already begun. Zeus again in a clutch situation, and he's doing one hell of a job. A second kill, but they're on the spike, diffusing it straight through, and it will be 3-0. I feel bad for Zeus at this point. They seem to leave him in clutch situations, Mitch, but he just can't quite close out the round.
I will say he should have been dead there. Like, he's lucky to survive that round. B was right up on him, ended up running out of ammo and having to switch to his secondary, which was a shorty. So about everything went his way after popping that ultimate. But unfortunately for him, yeah, not able to get the round. I think it is devastating, but at the same time, he got way more out of it than he really should have. With the 3-0 scoreline, though, Super Domineering, despite these rounds being very close, they have survived with 1, 2, and 0 players. It's been less than clean, but I think they're also going to be happy because that previous round, they didn't have the best of weapons, and they still come out on top. Now Overtime go down to a weaker buy, and Super Domineering get the chance to hopefully build up some of that economy. You can see as well, Overtime haven't got any huge ultimates in play. I think the Jet would be the only thing that would massively change the game. Possibly Breach as well. If you've got the Rolling Thunder, you can rush down a bomb site. I think you have to acknowledge the fact that this should be a clean round. And so we do not want to see Super Domineering ending up in this like 2v2 retake position. They should be able to close this one out clean as can be.
Here we go again. You said that he might not do it with the rifle in hand. It seems like we were both proven wrong almost instantly. It is a straight dash into the site. Again, we're going to get the same plant spot. There is an A site, guys. You know it exists. You can attempt it sometimes, but it seems like they're more than happy to just continue to get these after plant positions. The problem is they're not holding on to any of these rounds. Float and PP combining to pretty much close this one out. And the thing is, there were a couple of rifles into this. Although we look at this from the position of Super Domineering, as you said, they want to keep it clean. They want to make some money. For Overtime, a plant plus 1 kill when you had 2 rifles in play, I don't really think that's enough.
It's a really odd position as well to give your Jet the rifle when you're going to go for that dash strategy. Because if you think about it, the whole idea of that Jet is to open space for your team. It's to allow your team to catch a player that's focused on Jet, get a kill, or get out of hookah, which is going to be difficult versus a Killjoy, let's be real. As soon as you dash, she just activates both of her nanoswarms and then focuses on the fight. But that idea doesn't work so well when your teammates have got pistols, they're far away, and you've got a Phantom and you're up close. You know, and recovering from a dash as well. My God. Speaking of dashes, right after a beautiful shot, one comes in. B through the wall, catching the pixel and the kill. A man advantage now to play with for Super Domineering. That was a gorgeous start to the round. And he's even had the balls to go back in and repeat that angle. Not going to see them on this, and the smoke is going to push them back. But with a man advantage, they can afford to give up that kind of map control.
Yeah, I actually quite like the way that they're setting up. Like, most of the time, you see teams be very dynamic on the defensive side. Because if you say static, you're going to see ultimates utilized to try and basically force you out of positions and make things very awkward for you. The thing is, they haven't actually done that on Super Domineering. They've had 2 players play passive on B every single round, and then the aggression has come in on the A side. They go for these pushes, these peaks to try and find information. Now, part of me is going to sit here and go, well, if they're playing the same way every single round and the attacking side is struggling to break them down, we have to start looking at Overtime Esports and go, you need to be doing better. At the same time, if he's hitting shots like that, I don't really think there's too much you could do towards A. And it means that every single round, they're pushing into the heavy utility players. You have your Breach, you have your Killjoy, you have to try and get through all of this utility. And by that point, look at the rotation. It's already here, Mitch.
And you're running into a Killjoy who still has all that util up and online. They've been very diverse with where they're putting it down. Problem is, no kills come in. Here's the ult, though. That's going to stop the plans, and they're going to have to commit to it. Just a straight rush down to the site to stop that spike plan, but not able to get him. There we go. Just about. And the rest of the team was just cleaning house anyways. That is 5-0 and an absolutely gorgeous round. I have to say, Super Domineering are playing this so well. There was even a round where they were quite slow on the rotate after they'd retaken bathroom control. That's where I was getting a little bit worried for them, but their Killjoy's ability to just lock this site down completely. Overtime Esports have got nothing to do against it. They don't know what to do. And here's another thing, Tom, right? You look at Overtime, they're in a position right now where they don't have ults. They have basically nothing. And the reality is, you know, we're talking about how you want to mix up your setup so that you don't get counter-ulted. Well, they haven't really had any online. Like, we see Jet obviously coming into this one, but the Rolling Thunder, I think, is going to be the one thing on Overtime Esports that could potentially make that big difference, and it just hasn't been there so far.
Well, we know that 𝗔𝗢𝗖 likes to get nice and aggressive. We've seen multiple rounds now where tried to dash their way through into the site. The problem is it's been very passive on B. They're not handing away any simple picks. And because of that, it makes things very awkward. In fact, they're almost playing this as a pure retake site throughout, just because of the utility they actually have available. Again, we're going to see this fault line put through the back of the site, and again, we're going to see an after plant position, bitch. But the question is, can they actually take this one? Me neither. Well, Zeus, this time, is going to be able to find one pick. And we do still have the Blade Storm available for 𝗔𝗢𝗖, but realistically, it seems like the rifles are doing the work. Finally, we're actually going to see a round coming up for Overtime Gaming. There's only 2 players remain. There shouldn't be any way that this one slips away.
One player remaining.
And while eventually that Blade Storm is going to find itself a pick. It's left all onto one man. I don't really see any way, although Mao has managed to find 2 picks back and at least make things a little bit more costly before Pinocchio's will be there to close things out. So it is 5-1. The attackers have managed to get themselves around on the board, and wow, I won't lie, for me that one was a little bit jolty. I think for you it was almost completely frozen. So it seems like all we need for Overtime Esports to win a round is for Mitch not to be able to see it.
Apparently, yeah, my feed froze, so I couldn't coach my boys over at Super Domineering through it, unfortunately. That's a joke. That is a joke. Please, nobody report me. Yeah, look at the position now, though. 5-1. Overtime picked up the first round. Where did they go from here? And you can see they're not focusing in towards the B site anymore. This time, they're thinking about hitting A. Now, there are smokes down. They're going to push on through a Jet to the left as they swing on into the site, and nobody's here to stop them. They've got their own smokes in play, and they're now looking for control over Bathroom. They've cleared it out with the drone. They know that they own this map. They own the at least attacker side, and they look for lamps, seizing it instantly. The ult goes through. That's information to play with. Now they know exactly how they can set this up. When you pop that Cypher ultimate in these kind of positions, you can set up post plans so well because you don't have to worry about a flanker or a player coming out of nowhere. They've also got the Hunter's Fury online that they're waiting just in case things fall apart, and they just might. Kills coming through for Super Domineering. It's down to a 2v1, and here's where this Hunter's Fury actually won't work because obviously they can just stick it. They can just hold it. He knows that he goes out. He needs to spray. What is he doing? Goes in for it too late. Too little too late. And even though he finds a kill and lights Jet down to 7 HP, the round goes their way. I want to commend the decision-making there for Sova to not sit back and just pop Hunter's Fury. Because, Tom, we've seen it too many times. In a 2v1, players pop Hunter's Fury, and it's like, bro, they're just going to stick it halfway, die, and then the other person's going to stick it halfway and win the round.
Yeah, it's definitely unfortunate in those sort of cases. I think the retakes coming out from Super Domineering are really impressive. Like, this is not a map where, well, in particular B, you see this many successful retakes. Like, once it's on lockdown, normally that's it over. But in this case, they've done very well. And in the A site that round, good after plant positions. You had full lamps control. Like, everything looked like it was positive for Overtime Esports. And they just frag out on the retake. Like, you have to bear in mind, I think they went into that in a 4v5 and came out in a 2v1. Like, that shouldn't happen. That shouldn't really be possible. And they're giving up the site almost every single time. It looks like it's about to happen again, but this time they've got some bathrooms control, and they're going to hold on to it as well. And this is a problem for the attacking side. You can see the spike is currently pushing. The spike's going into drop. Why? That's mental. Mao has just been handed the spike on a platter, has a teammate to try and support as well. Overtime, that is a catastrophic mistake, and now they're trapped. Like, how do you even get out of here?
Yeah, that has ruined the round for them. All the map control they had, completely gone. Scary. Oh, he's coming through at 3, looking for the 4K to close it out. He's just going to fade on back, pop the ult, and go to the B site for the plant. That is absolutely gorgeous. I don't know how he's managed to pull this round back. We've got a little TP coming through from Super Domineering's Omen as well. He's going over in towards Hookah, where that push is going to come on through. And here we go. They know that this is the thing, though. The sound of that teleport completely gives it away. They know that he's here at this point. He's going to put his own smoke out, one towards the spike as well. Drop out, look for this player. Can't see him anywhere. And he can maybe play. Ooh, okay, TP up top. That's an interesting routed step. But he's running out of time. He's got no info. He's given away his position completely on the drop down in the spray. And no time to stick it. That smoke's going to fade away. And that's where 𝗧ary picks up the 4K and the round for Overtime Esports. What a play by... I mean, they threw that round, Tom. They completely gave it away. And 𝗧ary just snatched it back out of nowhere.
Yeah, this is one where I don't necessarily just want to harp on teams, but you've sort of had a battle of who made more mistakes. Like, the start of that round, I think it was Juju's decision to just dive in with the spike to try and... Like, I understand the premise of killing the guy in bathrooms. You had to do it. But realistically, that was not the player that needed to be rushing in. I don't know if he didn't know that he had the spike. We've also got a double Bucky investment here, so this is a very interesting round. A real chance for them to get away. How did Bia just do that? The fadeaway Bucky dash straight back through his own cloud burst, and then he's managed to get away with it. Nice play.
Yeah, that's unreasonable. It's now into a 4 versus 4, but I think Overtime, again, they still have that advantage when it comes down to playing against the Bucky. At least it's something to work with, but he's got teammates. And one up close hasn't been detected in towards Lamps, but you'll always expect a player to be in that position. Lava, looking for a close range fight versus a Classic. Is that what you want to do? Well, at least he has support. And so 𝗧ary's there to help. They'll get the spike plant at this stage, and oh, that's a nasty little play. Zeus just about catching it. The recon revealing his enemy, giving a free kill as we go on into this 4v1. I mean, Tom, we talked about Super Domineering's retakes, but I don't know that they're this good to win the 1v4.
Well, yeah, I'm more meant as a team. Oh, is he going into this with a Guardian as well? Like, let's put it this way. If he'd managed to win that 1v4 with a Guardian, I probably would have been checked out already, because that would have just blown my mind. So, not going to happen. We are going to see now a reinvestment coming in again from Super Domineering. Still got some pieces missing, though, which I always find a little bit disappointing, especially in this game where the game literally tells you how much money you're going to have going into the next round. There shouldn't really ever be a position where you're caught short. Like, that's purely down to your own mistakes at that point. So it's not the end of the world. Like a Bulldog, it's not a bad gun. It definitely can be viable, but you want to see those primary rifles. More importantly, you want to see the operator coming up, because in the early stages of some of the rounds, that's been the main successful aggression. And even though they don't have the operator, they are still going to be making exactly the same play.
No, when I look at Super Domineering, though, you notice the Killjoy utility is being pulled back completely. It's now all over the B site. I think this is a direct reaction to the fact that you've seen Jet dash out on that site so many times. So they're going to look to counter it by having that utility in play exactly where she would be landing. And it's an alarm bot as well as the nano swarm. So that's almost a kill in itself, Tom. And you get hit by that, you're vulnerable, and then you already know how much damage nano swarm does. And you've got no dash to get out of it. You're right in the middle. Luckily, though, overtime completely avoided. They're going to be moving in towards the A site where the rotates have come in, and B, and that aggressive stance in towards bathroom has completely caught Lava off guard, winning the duel and getting out of there with full HP from what I can tell. That's now going to be difficult to push into because there's a full A defense here, and they've got ultis online, which we're already seeing in play as Mao just fires away. There's lots grouped up, but he only manages to hit one.
Yeah, you felt like he could have hit maybe all 4 players there. Even still, though, 15 seconds left on the clock. They've got to start getting the spike down. And there's multiple players here. Maybe 𝑵𝒔 should be sticking to the Bulldog. I'd take it back. A triple kill for him in the round. A clean final shot. And we are going to see Super Domineering return to their dominating ways. And I'll be honest, like, in terms of the better team, I think it's evident that Super Domineering have been the better of the two thus far. Of course, I do believe, so it was overtime, actually, were the ones that had the forfeit. So maybe Scary doesn't particularly like playing Omen, which would be a bit of a weird case because there aren't too many players who stick to Brimstone at this point. I do wonder almost, like I might have to check afterwards if he does play Brimstone. If not, it might have just been almost a courtesy ban of just like, we want to beat you properly. So we're just going to ban someone you don't use.
Last time that they played Bind, Scary was playing Brimstone, so
maybe not.
Potential that it was a little bit of not quite as nice as you're making it out to be, but
I like to see the good in people. That's
So I like this. You've got bathroom control, 1 player, but there's a second, and this is what they might not expect. Oh, out comes B, just running and gunning, and I mean, that's something I've seen from the Phantom more and more these days. Just sprinting headshots as Lava takes down 1, pops the ult, they know where they are, and this is a clear call to rotate, going through the TP, but you can see the read was there already. Killjoy's on her way, and there go the Nano Swarms. Damage going to be taken on the way out, and no plan possible. It's going to be a double TP. No, the spike is committing, but running into another Nano Swarm as well. Still managing to get it down, and taking a lot of damage on the way out. That is good for Super Domineering. I mean, both Omens are now 1 HP, and that should give them an edge when they come back into going for the retakes, because so far, as you said earlier, Tom, Super Domineering have been domineering when it came down to retaking, especially the B site.
Got that server already, though. The diffuser's already coming in. They're not denying it. That's already halfway. This is over. Even if he manages to get the Hunter's Fury out, they're just going to stick the diffuse. Unfortunately, this is a strat that everybody's prepared for at this point. You can also see your opponent's ultimates at the top of the screen. So they knew they had it. Easy round for them. And it's kind of weird how we actually see overtime set up. Because normally we look at your Sova being an initiator, someone who finds you information. A lot of teams even use it to go and find picks, like be a bit more aggressive. Like you look at the way that Ardis will play a Sova, it's definitely not as passive as what we're seeing at the moment from Zeus. Zeus, the reason, so you mentioned it, it's like, oh, is he going for a double TP? No, he's not. He's setting up already for afterplants before they've even cleared the site. So it almost seems like they're leaving him to try and clutch rounds. And sure, he's had a decent amount of frags, but correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think he's actually won any rounds for them.
I don't believe he has. So that's something that's quite surprising, really, that we're in this position. Out goes Juju's in an opening duel in the back lines, but not able to take the kill onto Aminola. B comes in with more, and Overtimer falling apart at the seams. Scary is trying to pull it back, but it doesn't look like it's going to work. A 1v3 left to play out, but a kill, no spike. This is where he could easily rotate to the B site, but it's just not going to be viable considering the fact that he doesn't have the spike. Has he not been hurt? It looked like they were still clearing out in towards labs. They are. They have no idea that he's gone back towards mid, and an easy kill, but there goes the ult around the corner. Be able to take 3, and 9-3 is the score on the board at halftime.
Yeah, that was such a bold TP as well. Like, he TP'd completely into the open, like, in mid. I'm sort of blown away by the audacity of Scary to even try that. But, hey, he comes very close. He seems to be quite good in these clutch situations, but that's kind of all we've got. And that's a bit disappointing for overtime. Like, we're looking at either Zeus or Scary to clutch out rounds. Otherwise, they don't win any rounds. They're in afterplants, they've not been good enough. Their takes have actually been okay, But it almost seems like Super Domineering were allowing them to take the site. They were like, okay, you can have this, but we're just going to take it back from you later. And a 9-3 half on the defensive side, that's very good. Like, Super Domineering are going to be pretty happy with that. Now going into their attacking side, we'll have to see if they've got anything different. I was really impressed with how 𝗔𝗢𝗖 played in the previous half. Needs to have the same level of impact here, and already a great start with the classics. There's going to be a couple of kills coming up. The trade's looking to come back from 𝗑𝒑, but he doesn't stand a chance. And while 2 players remaining, there'd have to be a serious slip-up, but it might already be starting. That's 2 kills coming in. Why so aggressive? They're just trying to fight them on all fronts, Mitch. This is starting to slip away.
And you know what the other problem is? They've given away that there's 2 players on B, so that rotate comes through the TP straight away. Now there's going to be a flank underway from Omen. He's going to attempt to come through that teleporter as well, obviously giving away his position. Oh, I thought he was going to double it. I thought he was going to double TP so they would think he's there, but look, he's actually delayed them. They're coming back to fight this Omen, but he's not there. Obviously, so for those of you that don't know, you can shadow step. That's the Omen teleport as you jump into the TP, so you'll go through it and then come back. And it's exactly what he's done. He's played mind games with them. They have no idea what's going on. Out comes Omen. Scary in with 1. Smoke down. He's dropped the spike. 30 seconds as they run towards. But now he thinks he knows where they both are. He thinks that one's in the TP and one's behind on mid. And oh boy, he is wrong. Because out comes Lava. He has absolutely no idea. And the freest kill of Lava's life. Really well handled by Omen. And Overtime Esports, they pick up their first pistol.
Yeah, and thank God they did, because otherwise that could have been, well, that would have been the nail in the coffin for this best of 1. Of course, it is groups, it's round robin, you play everybody, but realistically, you don't want to go 0-1 straight away, and to lose a 5v2 pistol, that would have been the worst case scenario. So they've at least managed to get themselves something, a lifeline, and can start this one off a little bit stronger. And you can see that there's only going to be some minute purchases coming in for Super Domineering in this case, wanting to make sure their economy's saved up for the next round. They can still get all the rifles, a decent amount of utility at that. And for this round at least, probably just going to try and do a bit of damage, maybe get themselves a spike plant.
Oh, the dash used very early on to try and get into hookah, but wisely, Overtime Esports are not holding up close. You know, this is the kind of position where you have classics running at you in hookah, and if you're holding either of those close angles, matter of fact, if you're just in hookah in general, you're in a lot of danger, and you saw it, Jett opening up the space. Now, that kind of dash is something that I think we don't see from every Jett. I mean, to just pull off the top of my head from top 4 teams, Looker versus 𝗔𝗀𝗖. Looker is a more... He's an upper. He uses Jett in a more intuitive way for himself to try and find kills and play off. 𝗔𝗀𝗖, on the other hand, I feel like he plays a much more selfless Jett. You'll see a lot of the time, he'll just dash in, and like somewhere like hookah, he'll dash straight on through. He's probably dead, realistically, but his teammates are right behind him to get the trade, and you're clearing out those corners, or at least getting the information in the process, and that's all he's there to do. I like that that kind of play from a Jett, especially on a round like this, but obviously this time it didn't quite work out for poor old Super Domineering, and I have a feeling they're about to run into their death.
Yeah, very well placed paranoia from Scary, and he will mop up the remaining kills. He's had a bit of a resurgence, a slow start into this game, but a big clutch win, a close clutch loss, and now coming up to the top of the board, 15-10. He's actually overtaken 𝗀𝒐, who had a pretty big start to the game. I think he got a 4K in the first pistol that they still managed to lose, but nonetheless, this is where things are going to get a little bit tougher for them, as there is going to be an investment now coming up for the attacking side. They'll have the rifles across the board, and this is what we normally refer to as a bit of a bonus round. In this case, it's a massive bonus round because they've still got a Bucky in play.
The Bucky, look, especially in the position that it's holding, can do so much, but it has support, which is the bigger deal. Are you going to breach there who's ready to flash for you? Maybe it's a fault line. There's so much utility that he can use to help, but it doesn't look like it'll be used as Super Domineering focus their attention, at least in the early game, towards the A site. They've claimed control over bathrooms, which in a round like this, you know, it's very important, Tom. You want to be getting your ult orbs, and it sometimes is an overlooked part of the game, but It is huge. If you're able to pick up those orbs, and having bathroom control guarantees you at least one through the smoke. Scary's just about able to pick a first. What was that second kill, though? That was nasty. They knew where he was as well. He's coming around to try and look for a little bit more shock dart in play. Not quite landing, actually a little bit too deep. But now, potential to catch a little bit more. They're not even looking at heaven. A free kill for Zeus. What's going on? Mao is in a 1v3 even after picking up a kill. And they're defusing the spike. No chance. Oh, that's a disaster for Super Domineering. They looked lost.
That was a Marshall, 3 Spectres, and a Bucky. And they dominated that round. I don't know. Maybe this map is slightly more defensive-sided when it comes to Southeast Asia, because this is starting to get a little bit scary. Like the difference now only down to just 3 rounds. You can even see the massive amount of upgrades that have come in. Juju's going to invest into an operator, which, well, to be honest, in a round like this, wasn't really too necessary because they're going to be coming up against pistols. But realistically, we're starting to see some blunders come in, and some of the players shine. Like, Scary was someone, as you sort of mentioned, that he normally likes to play Brimstone. I almost wonder if they're going to start sitting there now going, we should have banned someone else.
I mean, it's not even down to his 8. Well, I suppose it is in a way, right? He wouldn't have been in that position if he was a Brimstone. He would have been...
His paranoias have been solid, and so actually, I think the ults he's used as well have won them a couple of rounds, so... I don't know. I would say I'd disagree, just in the sense I think him playing Omen has made a pretty big difference.
Yeah. No, for sure. I mean, like I said, that position over towards the A side, he was up on top. You can't get there if you're a Brim. You ain't got Shadow Step, surprisingly. And he does play Omen. It's not like, you know, he doesn't play. It's just on Bind. The last time we saw him, he was playing that Brimstone. But, yeah, this has been a little bit of a kick in the teeth for Super Domineering. They had that great start where they were picking up all these rounds. We mentioned how close they were. Well, the case for Overtime Esports hasn't really been the same. They're picking up very dominant rounds, even in the bonus. And at the moment... Oh, Lava. That's a nice little position. Oh, the push by Pinocchio's. He's coming around the side, completely sideswiping. And, look, they had pistols. At the end of the day, you don't expect that much from them. But at least they've gotten a spike plant and 2 kills. It's something to play with.
We are going to see the ult orb handed over. The Breach's Rolling Thunder is arguably the best Omen in the game, with how it can completely change around, especially in retake situations. I'm sure probably place it up there with a lockdown, but the fact is you can't really stop a Rolling Thunder. And we are still going to see some interesting investments. Okay, never mind. Bia for a moment had a judge. And I was sort of looking at that going, what are you about to do? I assumed it would have been an aggressive jump out through the hookah window, but change of mind. And I know that Mitch is going to be very happy because Zeus has got himself an Odin.
The best gun in the game, Tom. It's a proven fact. There is no debate.
I don't think it is a proven fact. I don't think that's how facts
you know what, Tom?
work.
That seems like fake news. And,
statistically... Probably not, because it's not the most picked up and chosen weapon, even though it's only a little bit more expensive than a lot of the other ones.
See, what you're forgetting is all the pro players just don't understand. They don't get it. Fearoth gets it.
Everyone's wrong except you, is what you're saying.
And Fearoth, yes. The 2 Irish boys.
Not
For
Irish.
Super Domineering, well, you know, again, alternative facts here, Tom. It seems like you're spitting some false rumors around here. We don't appreciate that. Okay, we're not here for that. The Juju's is going to get spotted. He has to just dash out of there, presumably. Or he's going to go for a kill first. Misses the shot now. It's time to bail. They're up close. So he doesn't expect it. Really nice push coming through from Super Domineering. And here's where the Odin can make some big impact. Waiting to spot some players out. Sees a few. And there it goes for 3. Zeus coming on in. Best gun in the game, baby. And if that doesn't prove it, I don't know what does. Oh me, oh my.
Oh god. Oh, we saw someone get a multi-frag with a Bucky earlier, so I'm not going to say that proves your point, but it was a pretty good play. I'm not going to lie, and one that was needed as well. A lot of pressure being put onto the site. Ultimates popped as well, and yeah, I think that in this sort of scenario, you kind of have to hope that they shut him down a little bit easier, not clearing some of the areas properly.
Oh man.
Nonetheless.
So what we've just seen there is a fundamental proof that the Jet Ultimate, the Blade Storm, is not as good as an Odin. It's proven now.
Sure, you know, everybody likes it when you know there's like shampoo adverts where it's like proven by one person. That's what they. That's how I feel comfortable with all of my products. They go, it was tested by one guy and he said it was great, and I'm like, oh, you know what? That's what I'm going to use that regain hair growth product now. That's definitely not going to burn my scalp.
This is what happened to Tom. He actually listened to a review on the best shampoo out there, which was only reviewed by one person, and he lost his hair because of it.
Yeah, it's like, never wash your hair ever again, and he was right.
Yeah, you'll only need this one shampoo one time.
You'll never have dirty hair with this shampoo.
That's true. Yeah, the man wasn't lying. What can you say? Like, we're in this position now, 5 versus 3, and I think for overtime, locking it down with the operators, it's so frustrating to play against. A little bit of a misread here in terms of the rotate, but the... Oh, they missed! They missed the Jets up close, traded out, so it does still have some decent impact, but then Zeus comes through, and of course, my man's got the best gun in the game, so he's able to take 1 kill before being traded out by the slightly less impactful operator.
Sure. 9 to 9.
I'm not saying the operator's useless. I'm just saying the Odin's better.
6 rounds in a row for the defense at this point. Scary Zeus styling on them, and yeah, Juju's not been bad. He's definitely had some more questionable rounds, but it seems like all the players that were initially like performing quite well have not been able to do anything on the attack, and I have to say I'm surprised. And the purchases we're seeing coming up in this round, it's still not going to be a proper buy. We've got a hero rifle being attempted by Float, although he's only had 7 kills so far. They are going to try and just blast their way in towards this A site. The information was found very early on, and in fact, we are going to see the lockdown attempted to try and just deny any sort of push. All the plan, all the ideas of the attacking side have been completely ruined, and did they use a Hunter's Fury to cancel that out as well?
Yeah. They did from the B side that was activated. And the other thing was it was put behind the boxes, and then they ran away from it. That just means they can spam it, especially if they've got an Odin. So it's a little bit of an odd decision. Oh my god, I don't ever want to see this again. Please don't give us a replay of that. That was... We need to all just wipe that from our memory. But Latvia's won it in the end. It's okay. A 4K, not quite in the fashion you would have hoped for.
Don't show the last one. The first 3. First 3 were nice.
He'll make a frag movie of that with the first 3 kills, and then be like, and I got another one. Anyways, next.
Yeah, just no. You just jump cut it, so it was just the first bit was in there. I was like, oh, no. Lovely.
So
nope. Hey, see, that's the bit you cut to, him peeking back in.
Yeah, true. Actually,
looks really clean.
Make that look good.
Like, what happened to the bit where you ran out of the room? Why did? Oh no, don't worry.
Oh, we're just rotating. Just rotating, bro.
Styling on him. 7 rounds in a row. We've gone from 9-3 to 10-9 in favor of overtime. I'm hoping this isn't going to be a running theme because I want to see more successful attacker side strats throughout this tournament, but thus far it's just been defensive masterclass. I think obviously you have to take into consideration at least overtime we're getting after plants. Like, at least they were getting the spike down, and well, sure, they were screwing them up afterwards, but so far for Super Domineering, they've been anything but. They haven't been able to get much done at all. In fact, these have been much more dominant rounds in favor of overtime.
You know, this is a position where I think after the first 3 rounds, we were already seeing it, right? The fact that so frequently we had Super Domineering come through, like, as I said, 1 player, 2 players, and 0 players alive to start out their defensive side in the 3-0 lead. And then overtime, they did it dominantly, even when they had weaker weapons. And if that's the case, that scares me. If you can't deal with them when they've got Spectres. Oh, Juju's been stunned. Pops out the ultimate because obviously you can't scope in. At that time, Zeus able to take 1. Nobody followed up. Nobody pushed with. That's a very odd situation. Zeus is caught in the open, though, so at least they pull it back somewhat. Juju's going to look for the kill, but the smoke is down to stop that from really happening. But 15 seconds. Oh, no. This rotate. They're going to just barely have time. If that spike is dropped, it might already be over.
They do. Yeah, no, they don't.
Oh, what a misplay. Completely misread on that clock.
Yeah, and the worst thing is as well is this is a new economy patch, right? So they can't even really drop extra stuff over.
Exactly, right? They get 1k.
I think they'll still have enough because the 2 players who died did still get enough to buy, but it means that there's no real bonus cash here, so a loss here would likely put them onto pistols in the next round. Yeah, that was a late round call of, oh dear God, everybody's on this site, we need to try and run back, and
yeah,
they didn't have enough time.
They had the Omen there as well.
Yeah.
The problem, I have a small issue here for Overtime Esports. They've got 2 players who are going to be max money next round, or like 8k plus, and they've allowed other players to buy. I feel like no matter what, you would have had players who would have max money next round. But
when you win 8 rounds in a row, you kind of stop caring.
Yeah, I just think they could have spread it out a little bit better, but it's okay, I suppose. At the end of the day, you get. Oh man, look at this push. They've pushed completely down B. They've got the control. They make the read then to just go on a full rotate, and this is just going to be the round over. And don't with this 4 players on the A side.
Yeah, you could just see the confidence just consistently growing for overtime. Like they're getting more and more audacious with how aggressive they're being and how much map control they're being able to take. And it seems like Super Domineering aren't even going to get a single attacking round. I'm blown away. Like, this is some of the most defensive displays I think we've ever seen, and I think it's because like it just doesn't seem like there's been any proper executions. Like the weird thing as well is, like, you have a Breach. Like when we talk about Breach, you talk about how like a lot of the time his ultimate will gain you after plant positions, will at least get you into those like late round scenarios. We haven't seen that at all from either team. It's been really peculiar. In fact, Breach has probably been one of the most successful defensive agents we've seen so far today, with all of the utility being used as stopping power more than anything else. Once again, though, we're going to see this aggression, and Juju starting to come into his own a little bit here. The spike, in the meantime, is on the other side of the map, and it seems like we're still seeing Super Domineering try and play these default rounds, try and work the picks, and that hasn't worked at all.
I mean, we've seen the more direct approaches from them, even just down to that previous round, and that doesn't work either, right? They're running out of ideas, and it's shocking. They were 9-3 up at the halftime. They were looking so dominant towards the end of their defensive side, and they have just tapered off completely. We're going to see an attempt in towards B. Now, they know there's an operator to play with. You can even see a little bit of a danger sign put down in towards B long. They're going to try to deal with this operator. I presume they're just flashed as they come around this corner, but not seeing them there. Now pushing up, gaining the control, taking the map, the smoke down. This gives away the push. The rotate's already started. They're a little bit premature on that smoke, but here comes the push. They still have to deal with the op, of course, as far as they know, but Zeus is the one that's, okay, only good for 1. The operator only now rotating back into play, and actually did have a Vandal for retakes, but it's down towards long. So Juju's can't actually pick that up. It's going to have to be the op looking for these angles. And in a 3v3, Super Domineering can afford to just tuck in and wait for a move to be made by their opposition.
That is not the back. That was a 2v1, and neither player really did any damage at all. Oh. That is a nice move from Bia. Right above a triple kill off of the Blade Storm. And they might have just got themselves back into it. That's the thing. Like, when you get that many rounds initially, that small momentum change can make all the difference. Of course, the defense still has plenty of money to buy for this round and the next anyway, so it's not really going to be the end of the world, and they will still have the operator plus your wonderful Odin being thrown up as well. But hopefully that could be a little bit of a game changer for Super Domineering, realizing, okay, we got the after plan, we got into position, had a cheeky couple of plays coming out from PP, managing to TP through onto the site. And again, we are going to see the same default, though. And as said, like last round, they still lost the opening duel. I think in opening duels, they've been doing pretty poorly on their attacking side.
I'm quite surprised, in all honesty, with how that round started. Super Domineering end up in this position where they're a man down. They've had an op push B and then fall back, presumably anchored in on the site, right? They were... had a 3-man setup on A because Jet rotated over there with the op. But still a difficult enough push to make happen. And the fact that they find those opening duels, you said they've not been doing too well on them. then you put that further in the fact that it was a 4v5, and that's when they find it. That's when they open up the site, trade on site, get the plant, and then massive plays by B in the end. And you have to commend the fact that they pulled back into that one, because the setup was pretty perfect from Overtime Esports. I don't think they could have done anything better. But now the AWP is lurking around B yet again. This 3-man setup. They're feeling so confident with their Cypher over towards A to gain that information for them. Even though it's quite a passive setup. Oh, man, walking around the corner up against an AWP. Well, that's never going to go too well. Here's the ulti, catching one, getting the kill, looking for more damage, and they walk into it as well. That is the game over and done with. Mao getting pushed on by Jet, who misses just under his elbow. He wants to peek. 10 seconds left. There it is. A 3K. The round closed. The game closed. And from 9-3 down, they somehow come back and win the game, Tom. What an absolutely insane performance from Overtime Esports.
Those are some of the worst attacking sides I think we've ever seen. Like, both teams struggling so much, and a lot of it came down to even just basic things. Like, I think we saw both teams really struggle versus aggressive operator players while also playing a breach. Like, that was the thing I think that confused me the most, is that if you're playing a breach on the attacking side, I expect you to have flashes going through, getting you openers, fault lines to clear certain positions. A lot of the time, we just saw straight dry peaks and no real adaptation to try and catch some of these players off guard. You also have to consider both teams had defenses where they would get aggressive somewhere. So either you start holding somewhere as a team to try and wait, or you start going more aggressively into the site. And the weird thing was, for Super Domineering, they actually showed, like, okay, maybe there's a round or two on their defense where they would let the plant go down. Like, it was Overtime being able to get lots of different plants in play. For Super Domineering, when they went onto the attacking side, I think we saw like a couple of after plant situations, and sometimes the plant would go down even after, like, basically there was no point of the round anymore. So very disappointing on their attacking side, like, especially when they were up against a team where they got to ban out one of their agents. Like, if you don't win that best of one, I'm not feeling confident for you for the rest of the tournament.
Yeah, 100%. I think this is a position where Super Domineering came in. We were expecting a lot from them, but they weren't able to get it done. And it's scary for their future. But look at this, Tom. I mean, we're taking a look at the stats here, and I have to say, I am very, very happy to see Zeus up the top. The man uses an Odin, and he gets the most kills on the server. Is that a coincidence? I don't think so. Odin, best gun in the game. Zeus, best player on the server. Absolutely fantastic gameplay from him. But I have to say, scary. He was scary. He was pulling off some insane plays, Tom, especially, as we said, considering his brimstone was removed.
Yeah, just to sort of debunk your theory, Zeus got more kills with guns that weren't the Odin than he got with the Odin. So you can eat that and get lost.
You know what, Tom? His aim is so good with other guns because he's mastered the Odin. He's practiced with it so much that the other guns, they feel too easy, honestly.
He did get 4 kills with the classic in the pistol round, so, you know.
There you go.
That's something at least. I think for me, though, Scary became the MVP. Like, the way that he played in sort of the rounds that they managed to take on the attacking side, which turned out to be the most important thing, I think he was the one that I looked towards. Obviously, when it comes to pure stats, Zeus is the one at the top of the board, and actually entry fragger will be Juju, and that's something we mentioned. I think that if we looked at the stats just a moment ago, there were 8 entry frags for the whole of Super Domineering. Juju alone had 6, and I think on the defense he was very, very good at just making things awkward for them, getting aggressive and finding openers, and that's something that it's invaluable for the side. Like, you can't really recreate that, you can't really practice that. That's just him being an absolute beast, and a lot of the time he was doing it on his own. That was just solo aggression that he was able to be successful in, and towards the end, I think that's why they were so dominant.
I think the reality is, when you look at defensive side opping in general, it is where it shines through the most, especially if you've got a Jet, because you're able to post on the angles, and obviously it's that little bit more difficult to get aggressive with the operator on the current patch than what we had seen previously. So for Juju's, yeah, he picked up most of those first bloods when it came down to the defense, but that was what gave them the rounds. Even look at that final round where he shuts it down in hookah, picks up 2 kills, and then goes out to long. I mean, it was fantastic start to finish. No, it was fantastic middle to finish from overtime, because they had a terrible start and still managed to come back into it, which is damn commendable. Now, I have to say, Zeus, though, he's won my heart He really has. The Odin main, my man, my boy, and I want to see him on Ascent. I want to see this guy wall banging absolutely everybody, but we'll have to wait a little while to see if that's going to be the case, because of course they will not be playing in the next game. We've got versus 𝗠𝘀𝗧𝗏. That is
The
only
Teenage
one word
Mutant Turtles.
versus the Teenage Mutant Turtles. There you go. Yeah, they're not ninjas. Unfortunately, they haven't finished
Not
their
yet.
training, but maybe they'll still be able to throw out some karate kicks and some, I don't know what it's called, the chop thing. Yeah, like that.
Karate
We'll see
chop,
what they're
maybe?
able to do. That's the one. So we'll see what they're able to do coming into the next game. They will be facing off against each other. Looking at the standings here for Group A, I mean, not a surprise that Overtime Esports are 1-0 and Super Domineering are 0-1, as we did just see that game go down. This means, of course, the round difference is going to be +3 for Overtime. So it really is a thing, in a tournament like this, you want to be securing the better round difference, just in case it comes down to that at some point. So 13-10, it's a win, but the more dominant that win is, the better for you. Either way, though, a point on the board and a good start for Overtime Esports in Group A.
Well, yeah, I believe there are tiebreakers as well if things don't go, well, if it's not according to plan. So, yeah, I'm interested to see, obviously, how that one will go. I believe, though, we got plenty more games to come up, Mitch. So I think we're going to be having a short break here.
I believe we will. And look, we're going to go to a little break, and then we will be back with the next game. As we said, that is versus 𝗠𝘀𝗧𝗏. So don't go anywhere if you want to catch that game.
Yikes. One player remaining. Spike planted. Enemy kill.
Let's build a dog out of sticks and twine. I can call you master, you can call me mine. Wrap me in plastic and make me shine. We can make a dollhouse, follow your design. You can call me mine.
Hello and welcome back to the AOC Masters Valorant Tournament. We have had one game go down already, and we're ready to rock on into our second. My name is Mitch, and with me is the beautiful Tom. Tom, are you excited to get to see only one word yet again? It's been a little while.
Yeah, for sure. There's a slight change in their roster, but they were definitely one of the better teams that we saw in the last event, like beating out some pretty reasonable teams along the way. Like Team SMG were one that I think we thoroughly enjoyed watching in that previous event because of 𝗓𝗍𝒑 and being such a beast within the server. So I'm looking forward to seeing them play. And then we have obviously the guys coming from the Philippines, which is going to be TNT. And I don't know what to expect from them, if I'm being brutally honest. Like, I think at this stage, we sort of look at teams and we don't really know, coming from like some of the smaller regions, what to expect from them. But that doesn't necessarily going to mean that they're a bad team. However, unfortunately, they are coming up against, as I said, one of the top three from the last tournament that we did. So realistically, I don't expect them to come through and be like an absolute monster. But if they can put up some good numbers here, that could definitely give them an opportunity within this group. Because realistically, so far, it's been kind of questionable. Like both teams having relatively weak attacks. I'm hoping that we'll maybe get a slight change in map. Like, because that was the thing last time. The randomizer wasn't too kind to me and Ryan when we did it, and we just kept getting the same map again and again and again. And we're like, oh, everybody just loves Ascent. And then it turned out, no, nobody loved Ascent. It's just they weren't allowed to choose. So that would be interesting. I don't think we have any bans in this one. I don't think anybody's been naughty, except maybe Mitch. So he's not getting banned, though. Unfortunately, he has to stay on the stream, at least for today. So, yeah. I'm hoping there'll be no more bans, and if there is, I hope that everybody bans out
Who would I want? Let's ban out Jet. Let's get rid of Jet.
That would be an interesting one, especially for this region, because we already see quite a lot of Jet coming in. But look, we're going to be taking a look at this match in particular. Only one word